he seeded forward in the bracket. So lots to look forward to on day 3 of the ZOTAC Cup Masters. We'll load into game 1, and we're going to hand it off to Annie and Draskell, the cast here for game number 1.
All right, thank you very much, Sayori. Draskell, you got to take a look at the draft as it was unfolding. Biggest surprise pick, biggest one you want to keep your eyes on here?
Well, it's definitely the Bloodseeker. I mean, Fnatic ran this yesterday. I don't know if they won the game because of the Bloodseeker, but QO made it look a lot better than my initial thoughts, I suppose you could say. I just like the way that it works with the lineup. You got this really strong form of initiation with the hookshot, and then you follow it up with either, you know, a Rupture, a Blood Right, something like that. You can kill these heroes on DC that are quite mobile still.
Yeah, I mean, DC, it seems like they just want to be hunting. They want to be skirting around these fights. They don't want to take those big 5-on-5 engages. I mean, they've got some serious damage if they can isolate one target, but how does Fnatic play against that?
Fnatic really just want to play the 5-man Dota around the Shadow Fiend, I think, and around the Bloodseeker during the mid-game. They swap out the Clockwork to his support position, so he'll be able to... He can do his job, really, without that many items. That's kind of the beauty of the Clock with these heroes. It makes the Earth Spirit combo very easy to land. He's good at area control and area denial, which is like the main strength of Bloodseeker as well. So like you mentioned, DC, they want to run around, they want these skirmishes, but if you rupture somebody, you're fighting there or that person's dead. So it's kind of like forcing the engagement in a very, very hard way, so we'll see how it works out.
Yep, already some decent vision plop down, just making sure that there's no easy dip out into the jungle for any dire mid heroes, and well, another Radiant Ward just keeping track of this shrine, and they will see Mason moving up here. Maybe looking for a sneaky steal. Has that Scoochy leveled up? We'll see if he goes for it. Looks like Radiant, they'll just give this one up. They see what's going down, and they don't really want to fight a Night Stalker level 1, so looks like some good wards snapped up. Still, one unclaimed here.
It's just a common reaction to when you're playing against Shadow Fiend Clock. You know that they're going to be sitting in base, so it's very easy for you to just walk up and take the rune, just due to the fact that Shadow Fiend's going to be abusing that soul. So you're playing 2 heroes up, almost, no matter what, in that situation. So yeah, DC abuse it. They just take the free bounty.
Yep, QO sticking around mid. I mean, they're going to try to make a go of it on Abed, already getting that first push with the cogs, so nice work, Febby. How long does the Clockwork stick around here? I mean, when is it just going to be a true solo lane, or is Febby in it for the long run?
I don't think he'll stick around for that long. I don't think that Queen actually beats Bloodseeker that hard, just because you have the sustain from the Blood Rage, but, you know, maybe level 2, level 3, then he probably just doesn't come back and then goes elsewhere.
Alright, down in our bottom lane, Shadow Fiend, again, already starting out with Oodles that denies, got himself 12 from the cogs, so lots of souls rolling in for him, but really difficult to kill that Tide. Started with the Anchor Smash, so he's a little vulnerable to level 2, but once he gets that Kraken Shell, there's not much they can do solo.
Well, they won't be able to kill him per se, but he's certainly not going to impede the farm of the Shadow Fiend. That's the one thing about Tide, is you kind of want melee heroes to abuse in lane, and really kind of like throw Anchor Smash at him, mess up their CS, be a general nuisance, but against a hero like Shadow Fiend with this base damage, he won't be able to stop it.
Yep, VJ already giving him a run for his money, just trying to keep things moving. And we talked about Earth Spirit being a fantastic ganker for mid lane. You really only need the Earth Spirit and not your secondary support. About what timing is that going to make an appearance here? When should Abed get scared?
I don't think that they really need to kill the Queen in this matchup, funnily enough. I mean, a lot of the time you look at it and you say, yeah, you know, we can kill this Queen, but QO's doing more than okay. He doesn't really need any outside assistance, so whatever DJ decides, and if it's just keeping this Tide low bottom, you know, we can see 4F kind of walking it off right now, but yeah, if they just keep him low, the Bloodseeker's going to crush his lane.
Yeah, Bloodseeker already feeling dominant, 12 last hits to the Queen of Pain's 5, so yeah, you talked about this not being a super Queen favored matchup, but how far can she afford to lose the lane? Like, when is the point of Queen of Pain starts really struggling and needs help from her supports right away?
The scary thing is, even if he gets help, there's a chance that they won't kill him. Just because of how much he gains through having that thirst. Like, you can see how aggressive QO's playing this. He's just walking up and hitting people. He knows that if one hero on his side lane is low health, he's not going to lose his lane. 16-9 to 6-4. That is a huge discrepancy at 2.5 minutes.
Yep, starting to see it in terms of levels. Quap only 3.5, and Bloodseeker is going to hit 4 here, so just getting that leg up here. It is scary for Queen of Pain. How does a Quap play from behind? I mean, how do you not just get totally crippled into the mid game?
You gotta TP around and look for fights, or like you mentioned earlier, somebody has to rotate for you. So as soon as you hit 6 is when you want to start trying to contribute with the Sonic Wave. You know, you TP around the map, you hope you get a kill to get yourself back in, because right now, it's not even really a skill-based thing. It's just that you can't win this matchup anymore. You are looking at a Bloodseeker farm creeps and you're going, well, I got a Rubik support, and that's about it.
That's an appetizer, man. Bloodseeker gets lifted back, but you can see Aved just can't even stick around in lane. The threat of the Ravage getting ever closer as Bloodseeker's going to pick up his 5 soon.
Yeah, once he gets Rupture, he's obviously going to hit 6 before Abed at this point because he's gotten so many denies, like 11 to 5. When he hits 6, Abed has to have a TP in his inventory or he's just going to get dove. And that's something that he's going to have to be very cautious of because, as you mentioned, it's only like 2 or 3 creeps away from level 5 for QO. But yeah, lanes, I guess more specifically middle, going very, very well for Fnatic. And if you look at Forev, he is also getting almost nothing out of this. So by keeping DJ bottom, he's prevented the Tidehunter from pulling ever. Like, Forev's not been able to get anything really outside of the creep EXP. And, you know, he's trying to contest, but again, Shadow Fiend hits so hard. It's for 94 damage at 3 minutes in.
Yep, some body blocks coming in. I mean, some damage will be done to Tide here, but definitely can't finish it out. But yeah, like you mentioned, Bloodseeker farming like a champ, Shadow Fiend completely unchecked. Up here in the top lane, Clockwork's just been having a fun time using cogs to burn some mana, keep people under control. I mean, Fnatic, they are doing very well in their laning phase. What's going right for DC right now?
Hard to say, really. I mean, I guess the Reaper's getting farm, Mason's getting items. That's definitely what they want. He's the one who I think is going to be the most difficult to deal with. So if he gets the start that he needs, then I think that DC are still going to be okay. They might find DJ. Here.
Yeah, in some trouble. Looks like he's probably going to end up burning down. One more right click should do him. Taken down to the Shadow Strike, and Abed does score first blood. He has to leave lane for it, though. Now Febby just going to be TPing out of a sticky situation. The first nighttime and a double damage Night Stalker on his ass, but they can't actually lock down the kill. So QO just going to play safe under tower. Still really looking for that level 6. He's so close. Can't step out too far here. Looks like Bulba doesn't want to back off at all. They bring DJ back to mid, and it looks like Bulba's not going to jump on this Bloodseeker just yet.
They're trying to get Abed back into the lane. It's really, really hard, though. Abed's not even level 5, and QO's going to hit 6. This is going to be very problematic. I don't know really what they can do in regards to mid, but they are wrapping around towards bottom, so we'll see if they can kill Ajit, perhaps. Oh no, they're just going to turn back.
They are going to turn out. Rupture going to be picked up on Bloodseeker, and one more creep. Got to keep an eye on him, just busting that out. But for right now, it looks like DJ might get the unlucky end of the stick again, but we'll make it back towards Shrine. Now Febby, only level 1. This Clockwork has just been on the move consistently. Great use of the cogs there, but a couple more levels sure would help out his damage. And now Bloodseeker sprinting around. He's hungry. He's got that thirst passive rocking out. Looks like Dubu may end up just ticking down the old natural way. One more hit, and it will go to Febby. So nice experience, nice gold rocking out to that Clockwork now.
It's a really tough situation for DC. Their support pairing is very unorthodox, so like having the one hero that runs at stuff with the Rubik is common, but Night Stalker can really only run at you half the time because he needs Night. He needs his Hunter and the Night passive to really feel like he's a menace, whereas other heroes like Tree, for example, they're off the map all the time, they can harass, they're just a nuisance, whereas Night Stalker with no levels is not really that scary, so DC need a lot of time, whereas Fnatic are thriving in the laning phase. They don't need any like specific timing. That's why it's okay for Febby to be solo level at this stage, because he secured that his safe lane and his middle lane were going to win. So being a little bit underleveled is more than okay with him right now.
Yeah, he's definitely feeling okay so far, and our Bloodseeker has ticked over to that 6. So yeah, like you mentioned, Fnatic are comfortable. DC definitely need time. It's going to be a while before that Mason Weaver starts to feel really scary. And I mean, can Fnatic hold out deep into the late game? Can they take this late against a farmed Weaver?
It's a little bit tricky. It kind of depends, I think, on what the other heroes have. Oh man, Forev, he's getting dove big time.
Yeah, there's going to be a TP in from the Rubik, but that's mostly moral support here as Febby. Yep, that's not it. Bulba going in. They will be able to lock down Ajit. This could be a big kill in the Shadow Fiend if they can find it. They lift him up, commit the Sonic Wave for it, and that will be a kill. A roll in reinitiation here onto DJ, and yep, they've got it. That's going to be a double kill for Abed, so pretty good way to get this Quap back in the game. Just start funneling her kills.
That was a sick blink by Abed, by the way. He blinked in front of the Earth Sphere at mid-roll to prevent him from getting away. That was an extremely nice play, getting the 2 kills instead of just the 1. And that's exactly what DC need, right? They need this Queen to rotate around. They need him to find successful kills. and then he'll be, you know, good as can be. Out of CS away.
Rupture onto Forev. I like the choice to bring the Tide into the mid to help out with his levels, but seems like he might be in a little predicament here. Double silence, so now the Quap can't blink out of this. Looks like they still want to be focusing down Forev, but QO in a little bit of trouble here. Has that Shadow Strike on him. Needs to find a creep or something to heal up. It looks like he should live through it, but they only get the Tide. Quap's still very much alive.
Yeah, Rupture is an interesting skill against Tide because during the mid game, if he is level 6 there, there's no way they can make that play because the Ravage under the tower would more or less kill QO. So I don't know how many more times we're going to be seeing stuff like that against Forev. And the fact that he is kind of, you know, halfway-ish to level 6, I guess, at 8 minutes. So it's not like he had a completely awful lane, but at the same time, you can see Fnatic moving around. They're trying to get as much pressure as they can on the lanes before they know that Ravage is going to be online.
Ravage going to be that ever-present threat. QO still farming up the Storm in the mid lane. Still feeling good, switching over to net worth. He's going to be topping the charts. And down bottom are Shadow Fiend just quietly accumulating oodles of farm. I don't see Shadow Fiend run a lot in that position 1 role. I mean, what are his timings going to be? When does he want to start moving with his team, or does he just want to sit and farm indefinitely?
Well, he's definitely going to want to move around because he's the primary, like, siege unit, if you want to call it that. He's the one who hits towers. You sit your Abaddon behind him, you cast a Photic Shield, and you just watch him kill buildings. Now, they are trying to set up a gank on him right now. He's playing a little bit passive. Yeah, just going to shove out the wave, make it a little bit harder for them to dive. But yeah, I
bring
think...
in the Quap.
Oh, are they going to go for this? This is pretty risky.
It seems like they're into it, but Abed settle for some creeps for now, and there's a TP out, so no Shadow Fiend kill today. Instead, the mid going to be pushed in by the Radiant.
Yeah, this is what they want. They want to just move around together as a unit. They're even bringing in the Abaddon, so we're going to see that Photic Shield and the Blood Rage combination that we talked about during the draft. It's going to help him just mow down towers.
I'm excited for it. Febby trying to do his best to zone here. Still a long ways off hookshot, but like you talked about, this clock can take his time. As long as he's on points with those cogs, that's going to be enough to zone back for his team. And looks like this tower is a sure thing. It's going to take their time finishing it off, and Bloodseeker snaps that one up. So immediate TP down. Bottom lane's getting heated. They got a couple trapped in the cogs. Mason able to scooch you out. Very, very low mana. Looks like they are still hunting Bulba here. They go for the Rupture. He tries to TP out. He is currently silenced, but the TP completes. They just don't have the lockdown necessary without that hookshot.
They kind of used all their spells right away. Like when DJ TP'd, there was already a hero on cogs, so I think it might have been just better to save the Boulder Smash, but I guess he just threw it out. Maybe worried that Febby was going to die. But yeah, nice TP there from Boulder.
Well, either way, they don't score up any kills here, but still bringing in the whole squad to push this tower. And you talked about Fnatic really hitting their peak right about now. They just want to be sieging as 5. The Abaddon can sponge up a huge amount of damage. And ooh, silence onto the Weaver. They push him back with the cogs. Mason in some serious trouble and does go down. TP in immediate Ravage. They've got 4, and now Night Stalker's hungry, trying to bring up the rest of the fight. There's going to be that Requiem dropped out, doing some serious damage to the Rubik, and another commit back in. Abed, that Sonic Wave not quite doing enough. The Radiant, they are starting to drop, but Abed's in some trouble as well. QO chasing him down, activates that Shrine, but just gets blasted. That's going to be a very, very bloody engage. Fnatic lose 2, but 4 heroes dead for DC, and their tower going to be going down.
Yeah, the Ravage looked really nice at first, but the problem is the follow-up wasn't there right away. You saw that Abed wasn't in the team fight until well after the Ravage stun had already dissipated. And at that point, they lost Mason, so the fight can no longer really be taken. I don't know, that was a really weird defense. I didn't think that they would try to force an engagement like that. You know, there was no nighttime, so the Night Stalker, he doesn't even have Crippling Fear skill. So he can't stop like a Requiem, he can't stop DJ from throwing out all his spells. It was just, that was a disaster for DC.
I mean, how unusual is this Night Stalker's build right now? He goes for the 2 points in Hunter in a night because he just needs that extra little bit of nighttime presence, but the no Crippling Fear seems like they just are lacking lockdown.
It's pretty common, mainly because Void is such a good mana cost to damage spell. Like, the ratio is really nice. It's 100 mana at level 3 for 255 damage. It's very, very attractive for a support hero to take that, because most of the time you are lacking in the DPS department, especially.
Oh, Bulba with another TP attempt out. This time it will be successful, so Ravage down at least for the next 50 seconds, but that's just QO really dominating this lane. No one can step against the Bloodseeker now. I mean, what's the best shot for isolating him? He's just going to be sticking with his crew.
That's the one thing that's scary. There's not really a ton of stun on DC. It's pretty much a lift and a Ravage, and that's it. But once QO did this a lot yesterday. He doesn't care if you TP away, because at the end of the day, you have to TP away or you're gonna die. So he's just making you go back to base. Very liberal.
DJ buying some time for himself, gets a really nice rock, and actually lives long enough for Bloodseeker to be TPing in. Clock gets lifted up, they eat up that little bit of disable. Now Abed still hot on the heels of DJ. He's rolling away, but Quap keeps right on after him. Looks like DJ will actually live here. Now Ravage still down, they don't have the hook shot, but they are able to break the TP with the Cogs push. Abed just going to be chilling there, does have that blink available. They're waiting for it. Febby setting up in a likely blink spot, but Abed able to juke himself out. And meanwhile, some really good push coming in. Our Shadow Fiend, who's just been quietly sitting back, accumulating farm, now with a full mech up, starts laying into top tower.
God, I haven't seen this since old Fnatic when Mushi was doing this. The main reason why you don't see the mech on Shadow Fiend anymore is because they increased the mana cost by a lot. I think they increased it by like 50% comparative to what it used to be, so it kind of just stopped being a thing. But for this type of scenario, where all you're really looking to do is just siege non-stop, you have this great protection in Ohio's Abaddon, and you have the hook shot soon coming up on Febby. He's going to hit 6 here. Like, everything is kind of falling into place for Fnatic.
Yeah, it's looking real good. We do have another nighttime here, so Bulba going to be smoking up, looking for some prey. He was not successful on his first nighttime attempt, even though he had that double damage rune right when it hit, but we'll see if he can redeem himself here, just walking himself down to the bot lane. Ohio is a pretty tough kill, this Abba. Already level 9, already has that Vladimir's offering, so he's no squishy.
There's no way they want to go on him. Like, if they see him hitting creeps here, this is a no-go. Yeah, you can already see DC, they're out. They're like, nope, not interested in that. We're going to try to find a straggler instead.
Yeah, but Fnatic, they're going to go walk right on into DC. It looks like they do catch out Dooby, that poor squishy Rubik. Probably going to get what's coming to him. Nice roll in, does clip him off, and well, they've got Febby there to lock him down with Cogs if necessary. Not even needed. Now Clockwork, again, does have that hook shot, so they might be able to push for more here. Mason going to be crawling around in the bushes, but pretty low mana. He's got to watch himself here. A couple more scoochies, and he won't have that time lapse.
This game is getting actually extremely difficult for DC. You can see Mason's going back to the Midas now because he doesn't really have a lot of places on the map he can farm openly. Fnatic are walking down lanes as 5, and DC are doing the best they can to spread out, but he has to be the one who's playing behind the lines and stuff, so he needs to go for an item that's going to allow him to gain some kind of economic advantage. Yeah, hook fists there from Febby. But
I mean, honestly, it's alright.
Yeah, it's fine. The tower's dead, right? Doesn't even matter that he missed the hook.
That's a zoning hook shot right there, new meta. Now TP up to the tower, QO. Gonna be hunting here. Abed just gonna be able to blink and TP away from that rupture, but like you mentioned, forces the TP, lane now cleared out, and Fnatic can just keep the pressure coming in. It looks like they have battle lines drawn on the map. Push in mid, push in top. Do not let that gas pedal up for a second. Just keep going, keep wadding as 5. How long can Fnatic do that? Is there a point where they're just gonna kind of hit a wall and stop being able to do any damage?
Tier 3s are always the test for lineups like this. So you get your last tier 2 mid, potentially, and then you kill Roshan if DC don't contest. Or maybe you win the Roshan fight and then get Aegis anyway, and then you see if you can reach the high ground. There will come a point where DC's lineup kind of comes online, and it might be soon. Ajit in some trouble.
Yep, he's going to be TP'd upon here. Silent Stuff will go down. That Death Requiem doing a little bit. We'll see if his team can follow up. Febby traps Farev in the Cogs. Still does have that Ravage, but no mana now. Oh, he gets burned down. Now Farev, just a walking shell. Bulba still trying to get the most out of this nighttime. Charging in, there will be a silence coming out. Looks like Dubu will be able to walk out of that. So not finding a whole lot of targets here from Fnatic. DC playing really well in that fight, just getting in, getting a target, and getting right back out.
Finding the isolated Shadow Fiend is probably the best kill they can get. I think it's even better than killing QO, because QO is not the siege hero. He doesn't want to walk up and hit the tower. He just wants to Blood Rage Ajit and sit in the back and wait for a potential engage from DC. So the fact that they find the Shadow Fiend means the siege is halted. They're going to be able to push out a couple of lanes while waiting for him to respawn. They're even going on him again. Oh, if he dies again, this is so bad. I don't think he will, though.
Daytime, though, so Bulba, he's a little bit sluggish there. Ajit able to walk back behind the tower, and there is still 4 heroes banding together. Could potentially kill off this Rubik, or at least shove the lane in. So, Fnatic, a little bit of a fumble there, losing that Shadow Fiend, but certainly not the loss of their momentum. They still got about a 4,000 net worth lead.
You can't give away a lot of those though if you're Fnatic, because their team is meant to do this. They're meant to like barrel down every single lane and take your towers. Over time, Mason, with his finished Midas now, he's going to make his way towards that Linken's and then a damage item. And then you're going to start wondering, okay, so how do we actually kill the Weaver and fight them? That's when things start to get hairy for Fnatic. It's just that DC's team needs more time to get core items than what Fnatic's does. They can just go as early as they want. They really only need levels on a couple of heroes, and then they just hit towers. That's all they need to do.
Looks like Fnatic taking this opportunity to pull a quick Roshan. And down bottom, I mean, DC know what's up. They were pressuring this tower for a long time and no one responded, so probably a likely story that Roche is being taken. And now Oddjet, he's got that Aegis tanking him up even further. He's got the Dragonlance for stats, so Shadow Fiend is, I mean, he's online. He wants to be fighting, but hopefully he'll be sticking closer with his team and not get caught out.
I think they still have about like 10 or 15 more minutes if you're Fnatic before things start to get really hectic. Because by then, we're talking finished Linken's on Mason, maybe he's halfway to a damage item at that point, and assuming they don't lose any fights really badly for Fnatic, I'd say that's about their time frame. And then it's going to be Mason pushing lanes too fast and Abed pushing lanes too fast, and you're going to get pulled back, and you're going to have to TP to different places, and then you're going to get picked off. And that's when DC's lineup starts to become terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of no return for Fnatic? Like, they're going to go in, they're going to try their luck at tier 3s eventually. How much do they have to get by that 30-minute mark before it becomes really difficult for them?
I'd say like at least 1 Rax to feel comfortable, because then you have one lane pushing in idly all the time, and against a team with this much mobility, you kind of want that. You want one lane idly pushing in for you so you don't have to address it, you know, every 2 minutes when Mason or Abed are there.
Yeah, I mean, DC, they can push lanes pretty quickly, but super creeps and mega creeps will make it difficult for them. And now Mason will get ruptured here. The hook shot for good measure. They're going to keep him silenced up, and that is a dead bug. He will fight with his last breath, but nice kill, just checking the pace of that Weaver. He was thinking about finishing off that Linken Sphere, but going to be a long time coming now.
That was a very nicely executed gank there from Fnatic. I mean, sure, the initiation from DJ kind of whiffed on the silence mark, but it's kind of what we said during the draft. If you get hit by a hook shot against those heroes, they're chain silence, there's no way you can get out.
Oh, now QO goes in. This is a solo TP, and Bulba does have that ult available. QO not going to get punished for now, but this tower's starting to take some damage. His team returning the favor and should be able to find this tier 2 mid. It's only held back by a Rubik. So, tower trade going in, but in the end, Fnatic, they're still executing the plan they want. They're taking over Dire's side of the map. Just got to be careful not to lose too many structures of their own, because like you mentioned, once that Weaver comes online, there is some serious push and serious damage coming out of DC.
I think even being a Rax down for DC isn't necessarily game-ending either, just because of the nature of their heroes and how mobile they can be. Even though they killed Mason there, they commit 3 heroes, and that's all 3 of their highest kill potential, like, pick-off heroes, to get 1 core. And then if Abed's somewhere else, and, you know, you have a Tidehunter in another side lane hitting creeps, you can't really deal with all of them simultaneously, and that's kind of a hint of things to come if Fnatic aren't able to deal some substantial damage to the base of DC.
It looks like they're going to group up and at least make a go of it. Queen of Pain still hanging out in the bottom lane. I mean, how well has this Queen of Pain recovered from what was a very, very tricky lane?
I'd say he's done pretty well. He got a nice GP on bottom lane that ended up resulting in 2 kills. So I'd say that in of itself kind of puts you almost back in it, because realistically you're only down like, what, a dozen creeps, 2 dozen creeps. And then he's, for the most part, not really died. I think he died once, yeah. But he's 4-on-1, so he's not struggling.
Definitely getting himself back in it, going for a Linken Sphere of his own, just trying to make Kyo have a really tough time finding those easy ruptures. Because it is such a great tool at just controlling these fights, controlling DC slippery heroes, and now Silence comes in onto the Bloodseeker. He's going to get pinged out. It looks like they want to make a go of it. Silence comes in, does clip onto the Weaver. Requiem comes out, the hook shot onto Farev, trying to burn that mana, trying to prevent a Rabbit. He does get silenced, and now it looks like that Kraken Shell is not going to save him. He does make himself back up, but there we go. Abed able to go in Sonic Wave. Mason squiggling on through. They've got dust on him. If they can get this Weaver, it's huge.
Well, with
For
the
now,
hero being dead, there's no way they can kill Weaver. They needed the rupture into like chain silence or a hookshot or something like that. They dumped everything onto Forev because they were scared of the Ravage, and that allowed Abed to aggressively blink in the back and get that really, really important kill on Kuro. The siege is over. That's a huge victory for DC.
are still standing.
They did get the tier 3, which is still something, but not as much as Fnatic wanted or maybe even needed to get out of that exchange. And now DC are smoked bottom. They're looking for someone to go back and potentially farm this, and if it's QO, he could just die again.
We'll see. He's going in. This is he's got to be cautious here. He's got to know something's up. He goes in, and well, they got the gush on him. They get the lift, and now it looks like that Bloodseeker can't make it out alive. Just a happy little blood right there. He's all he's going to leave behind. So that's really rough. That's 2 deaths on the Bloodseeker in a row. Now Shadow Fiend coming to try to help out his ABBA, but yeah, this is DC getting some momentum back in this, really evening out that net worth and getting those high-value kills.
They're doing a really good job of avoiding having to fight into the Aegis. Like, Ajit had it for a really long time. It obviously faded a second ago. But that's what they want. They don't want to have to fight into 2 Shadow Fiends. Unfortunately, though, for DC, there's a 10-second BKB now on the Shadow Fiends, which is still pretty darn difficult to fight directly into, and they no longer have a tier 3 in the middle lane. Now, I don't know about pushing mid first because it's the lane with the most shrines, but I mean, getting the tower down opens up the opportunity to kill the outer tier shrines if they can get there. But look at the lane equilibrium. It's like every single lane is pushing in DC's favor almost.
Yeah, definitely doing a good job there. Now, this Weaver, I mean, potentially in some trouble, briefly got silenced, and he's just going to scurry on through Clockwork. Not going to commit the hook shot. There's just not enough damage there. Fnatic, I mean, they've got to stick together. It seems like they kind of lost track of that full 5-man push wad, and they're splitting up here, letting heroes go solo, and DC thrive on those individual pickoffs.
The longer they can keep the lanes pushed out like this, as you said, it's just about the pickoff game, and they are extremely good at it. The Night Stalker is going to have Aghanim soon. He's only like 500 away. That's going to make it even harder for, you know, Fnatic to get out on the map.
Ohio going to be walking right into damage, but that Abaddon is nearly impossible to kill unless you've got lockdown for days. So right now,
you just look at that hero and you just say, nah, we're not even going to bother.
Smoke coming in from Fnatic. It looks like they do want to get active. They want to keep that momentum up, get themselves back in it, because they have just been a little bit quiet for the last couple of minutes since that awkward fight on the high ground of the mid lane. They're going to be pushing all together, like you mentioned. Brand new BKB on that Shadow Fiend down bottom. Ohio is able to get the kill on Dubu. Just a squishy Rubik. But if they can actually find the Quap on the back of this, that's going to be huge. Now Abad will get silenced up. In some trouble here, just trying to go, and Lincoln Sphere popped out. They do get the Rupture off on her. Hookshot in. They are sparing no expense on this kill. They will get another silence on her. The creep wave's blocking the actual kill, but the Raze finishes the job. So Ajit getting himself back up. They do have to make sure that Mason doesn't find a free tower off the back of this. Lots of space created for this Weaver to be pushing in, and he's starting to get to be a problem. He's got himself 2k gold on top of his Lincoln Sphere. And he's giving Ajit a run for his money now.
This is the primary issue. You know, we spoke about it not even 5 minutes ago. You spend 3 or 4 heroes to kill Abed or Mason, but you can't kill them both. If they're always on the opposite side of the map, and you're sending 3 to 4 heroes to kill one, the other one will almost exclusively be able to farm with impunity. He doesn't care anymore because he knows that all the spells that can kill him were just cast.
Yeah, it's tricky. DC definitely reading this game right and maybe sticking a thorn in Fnatic's side. So, I mean, how should Fnatic respond to that? Do they have to just stay together and just continually push and try to win this and just base pressure? Or do they have to go get those high-value kills? Because now Weaver, he's tapping on the tier 3s all alone.
It's a really bad sign for Fnatic that this is happening already. Maybe happening a little bit faster than they wanted it to. They're going to keep back here and make it a fight.
Yep, TP into the Shrine. Ohio trying to frontline here. Ajit is able to snap up a regen, or at least denying it to the Dire, but Cogs goes in. They trap the Rubik. He's silenced up as an easy Raze kill. Ohio still chasing after Forev. There's no mana at all for that Ravage. So can they keep that on lock? Abed, yeah, with that Sonic Wave ready. Nice hook shot in. They will find the Invis Weaver. Mason going to get locked down, but just time-lapsing right out. Doesn't want to deal with any of this nonsense. Just going to be wrapping the long way around, but they will give up the Shrine.
That boulder was so close to hitting him in that Cogs. If DJ hit that kick, that was a dead Weaver. That's almost a forced buyback at that point. Roshan's not up, unfortunately. Debbie is checking it out. It is fortunate that Fnatic were able to force back DC. Like Mason and the Queen both being in the same place at the same time, that is an ideal situation. Because then if you take a fight and you get your spells coordinated properly, you know the other cores, not just pushing, your top lane or pushing your bottom lane, then you can actually go for something that threatens DC's base without having to take economical or structural damage of your own. So that was a really big opportunity that unfortunately, that kick being like 2 units to the right could have killed the Weaver, might have been a completely different game.
Yeah, definitely getting tougher. I mean, we're 27 minutes in and we talked about the need to take racks ASAP for Fnatic. I mean, are they losing too much momentum? Is this going to be a real tricky game now, or do they still got a couple of real nice fights left in them?
Oh, they still got some gas left in the tank. I'd say they probably still have about 10 or so more minutes. The biggest issue is going to be when Mason gets his first damage item. You can see right now, he's building almost exclusively for his own protection. Like, he wants to just live. If they send a bunch of heroes at him, and he's able to BKB and waste their time, that means that Abed's pushing, that means that, Sam is farming somewhere on the map, your Tidehunter is farming somewhere on the map. It's just economical gain that they get by, Fnatic having to commit so much and maybe not even getting a kill once he has BKB.
Yeah, this is starting to get tough now. Fnatic will see that Roche has respawned. Febby gonna scout that out, but I mean, Dire, they know what's up. There's been ample time for ults to come back online. Everyone respawned. Everyone can position around. Now, there will be a Rupture coming back in. Rubik with the stolen Rupture gives it right back, but that's gonna be Kyo just sitting there taking it. Able to clean up the swarm, just has to sit tight and wait for the Ravage to end, but like you mentioned, while that's going on, so much space created for Abed down bottom, just not feeling a care in the world. And now Fnatic, they have to go defend this tier 3. Jit forced to rotate back, and that does leave the Roche open if DC want to make a go of it.
I think it's pretty tough for DC to take Roche at the moment. They don't have a lot of damage. They're still just playing the long con, right? They don't really want to end the game right now. Sure, if Fnatic make a mistake, they can, but for the time being, it's just farm up the items and leave the live.
Oh.
And then
that was like a max length hook shot from Febby. Does catch out Bulba. They're just getting positioning, but yeah, like you talked about down bottom, they've got that Tide Ravage. He's got the blink. If they wanted to just YOLO this up, Queen of Pain can follow with her Sonic Wave, but seems like they'll give him a warning for now. I guess for DC, just keeping Fnatic pushed back, not farming is almost as good as having him dead.
This is all about lane equilibrium now for both teams. It's like if DC can keep at least 2 lanes pushed at the same time, Fnatic are always going to be taking some kind of base damage if they go for a push down mid.
Yeah, it's getting tough. Huo should be able to TP out. Bulba not able to get there quick enough and cancel that mid lane. We're going to have our squishy little Rubik potentially in some trouble here. There are ample Radiant heroes around. They seem to really want to get back into this Roche pit. They need an Aegis. They need some sort of momentum to drive them high ground. This time the hook shot won't clip onto Dubu. They make their way into the pit. It's not sneaky. I mean, DC know what's up. Do they want to take a fight here, or do they want to take this opportunity to push lanes?
They're going to push in as long as they can. Like, I don't think Abed or Mason's actually making his way over now. Maybe they're unsure as how fast this is going to drop.
It's not the fastest 30-minute Roche I've ever seen. There is time for Mason to make his way forward. They've got to play this well, though. They're just going to send out the swarm. Lincoln's popped. Now there is that darkness coming out. Bulba wants to keep fighting. They bring in Forev, still holding the Ravage for now. The Roshan gets low. It will be picked up by the Dire, and Bulba gets the Aegis. Huge play there by the Night Stalker. Now Mason gobbles up the time lapse, will still end up going down. Ravage comes in. BKB going to be wearing thin. It's just Bulba versus the world. The Aegis does get popped in the back lines. Oh, Dubu with that stolen Requiem, able to do so much damage, and now Forev may end up getting picked here. For now, they are going to lose the Bloodseeker, trading for the Weaver, but that Roche pick is huge. Abed comes in, trying to even this out, but oh, that's unfortunate. She dumps the Sonic Wave and can't blink out, so does end up a little bit bloodier for DC there. Still a great way to check Fnatic's momentum, though.
He got the Roshan last hit, and he got the Aegis.
That's huge.
That was unbelievable. I think they also got cheese baited as well at the very end. Because that was a second Roche, which means cheese. So I guess they didn't get the Aegis, but they got the cheese. I didn't see 100% who picked it up, but I think it was Jit. But either way, that looked like it could have been the time for DC to turn it, but losing the cores like this, Abed's going to be forced to buy back. They still have Glyph, though, see if they can hold this off.
Yep, Bulba up in 10 more seconds. It is nighttime now. Ohio taking some damage, still has that borrowed time. Jit just sitting there and sieging. They've got to stop him. They've got to keep him checked, but the silence on the Quap is going to be huge. Borrowed time comes in. Ohio trying to soak up as much health as possible, but not in a great situation here. It looks like Ohio could end up going down. They do blast apart the Abaddon, and they're chasing for more. Abed focusing down on Jit. They get the lift onto him. Febby with that blade mail trying to defend his cores. Jit's going to be BKB'd up, but still running low on health, running low on mana. Nice cogs by Febby, at least distracting the dire cores for now. Another hook shot back in. They do end up breaking the link into the Quap. Can they turn this around? With QO coming back in, letting that double man silence, it's going to be huge. And the raise from the low ground takes out the Quap. And now it's a silenced up Weaver. Oh man, it's a bloody fight, but getting that Quap down again along with the Weaver, that's potentially game winning. That Quap already bought back.
That was insanely big. Neither of them can buy back. It was a dieback for Abed. I think Mason, did he spend his money or something, or did he just never have enough to buy back? I mean, he might not have had the money in the first place, but like you mentioned, insanely good.
Yeah, Weaver 300 gold short of that buyback. A little bit rough for him. I mean, he had the BKB, he had the Lincolns going. It just seemed like Fnatic, they had really clear targets in that fight. Great use of the clockwork, hookshot, and cogs to keep everyone distracted off of that Shadow Fiend, and bought him enough time to at least go down fighting. Got that raise on the high ground, clipped the Quap, able to get off one last Requiem, so very well played there from the clock.
The cores on the side of Fnatic are just, they've been ahead pretty much the whole game just due to the laning phase, and credit to Fnatic, because it's not like DC are playing this poorly. They've actually done a very good job at splitting up the map and kind of stopping Fnatic from getting that death ball going, and they still have not lost racks, which is the most important thing. So sure, your cores died, Abed diebacked, but the fact of the matter is you can still play your game. It's only a 6k net worth lead for Fnatic right now. So it's 1 or 2 bad team fights away from DC being back in the position they were earlier, where they're able to push out all the lanes, and then Fnatic are just running around like chickens with their head cut off trying to stop them.
Yeah, definitely not going to be a quick game back in this for DC. They've got to take a couple more fights like that, but as long as their racks are up, I mean, it's just infinitely easier. The lanes are still going to keep pushing out in their favor. They've got Mason now getting close to his Dragon Lance, so going to be bringing a little more damage out of him. Is this the build you want the Weaver to be going, or do you want just more raw right-click power out of him?
I think he wants Pike just because of clockwork. I think he's just building literally every item to stay alive, because even though he has Lincolns and BKB, he's still dying in fights.
Forev almost gets clipped there. Dubu waiting on the high ground. This Rubik, he's had some trouble staying alive here with his 6 deaths, just, I guess, eating up a lot of the initiation for his team, and now it looks like these racks are in some trouble. Again, Queen of Pain cannot go down here. Still buyback on cooldown. They're going to go in. They will find the Abaddon, but he heals back up to full health. The stolen Requiem from the Rubik already committed. Now Ohio just going to be taking up damage. There's the Ravage, though, connecting onto 4. A hookshot back in from Febby, locking down Mason and the cogs. But Mason's going to beat KP, walk right on out of there. Jit going to be going down swinging. The Rubik gets low. QO able to finish him off. QO still alive, but being chased by 2. They're in trouble. They get the dust on Mason. Oh man, this Weaver is in some serious trouble. Meanwhile, Febby just going to be going. Another great use of cogs to lock everyone down. Queen of Pain able to blink away. QO is going to be going down, but looks like they will trade for Forev, so 2 for 2, but the Bloodseeker going down means Fnatic are going to have a bit of a tough time pushing out and getting anything out of this.
They just chased QO around for so long that fight. Like, Sam used the new Hunter in the Night active to like follow him through trees. He had bugs on him. There was just non-stop tunnel vision on that poor Bloodseeker during that fight. I mean, that was a 10-second BKB charge as well. You would imagine with the amount of farm that he has at this point, that they would have been able to win that a little bit more handedly, but I guess at the same time they did get ravaged. I think it was like 3 or 4 heroes that got hit, so nice initiation there from Forev. Managed to, again, they hold a little bit. I guess they did lose the melee rack at the end of the day, but they don't end up just, you know, taking it. They get something in return as well.
Yeah, I mean, Queen of Pain stayed alive. The Weaver still up and fighting at the end of that fight. It wasn't like it was just totally over, and I mean, for only losing half a racks, it's 35 minutes in, and Fnatic's just been going at this push strat since minute 1. DC have done a great job holding this off, but I mean, how much longer? Fnatic, they still got, you think, 5 good minutes of pressure before the net worth starts swinging for DC?
It might be the next Roche, honestly, that decides it. I think that that's going to be the make or break for either team, because another Cheese and another Aegis could just mean another full set of racks for Fnatic. If you know, DC don't have buybacks on one of their cores and they end up taking a bad engagement, if you don't contest Roshan and Fnatic get it, yeah, it could be the end. But Mason's still kind of lacking in the damage department. That's the biggest concern for DC at the moment.
Well, we're going in. Looks like they want to make a go of this Abaddon. Again, stupid difficult hero to kill, even if he's on his own, just because he's got 2 lives and now that Lotus Orb making things difficult. He's, I think, Shadow Strike the Queen of Pain a couple of times with it, but so far, nothing super major. Fnatic, I mean, they're still sticking together, but like we saw, as soon as Fnatic show on one side of the map, there's the other side of the map being pushed in. The creep equilibrium is so good for DC constantly.
Yeah, this is the game plan for DC, always has been. You just force the enemy team to split up through pushing, and then you eventually find a pickoff, and that pickoff results in structural damage. That's just their lineup 101, basically.
Rotation back down. Clockwork not going to land that hook shot onto the Rubik. Rubik, though, well, he manages to get himself out of this, and now there's battle lines drawn. It seems like DC, they want to go take over this corner of the map. Nice ward here, spotting any rotations forward, and I mean, DC, they're definitely holding their own. They're not confined to their base. They're not starving. They're still getting farm, still pushing out the wave. And, yeah, Abed just going in, got some Shiva's Guard action going on. Is that the item you would have picked for Quap here?
It's really nice because it synergizes with the lockdown of Ravage, your other AoE damage spells, and a lot of the heroes on Fnatic are melee, so they're going to be clumped up a lot of the time. It's just a really nice thing, especially too when the damage that you have to worry about in the fights is, I guess for now, it's kind of a mix of damage, but right clicks later on are going to be a bit scary from Shadow Fiend and QO especially.
Yeah, QO, I mean, he's scaling up really nicely. He had a good timing on that Radiance. It looks like he does have himself a 4-staff queued up. How does Bloodseeker keep himself real relevant into this late game? Because it's getting to the point where, you know, just a solo rupture is going to be spooking anyone real bad.
That's a very good question. I don't have a tremendous amount of experience with Bloodseeker, but QO's managed to make it work, so I guess we can both learn to see how he does it.
We'll see now. DC, they're in a holding position here. 4Up trying to soak up all the mana while he can. He does have that Blink Ravage. We'll see if he's going to be able to get it off. Ohio can use up the borrowed time, and now Mason is starting to lay in, but still lacking a little bit of damage. You talked about the Weaver going for any and all items that help him live. It does mean he's still not quite that tremendous damage dealer that we know and love as a late game Weaver.
Just the casual lands, it seems like.
Oh,
hook shot comes in.
Yep. They'll find the Rubik here, Dubu. I mean, he'll take one for the team. If he can stop a base push just by using his own body, that's an A+. Does have 5-back, and looks like Fnatic, they want to keep going. They haven't burned too many ults. The borrowed time going to be back up in 3 seconds, so Ohio can just keep frontlining the siege.
This is a really good spot for Fnatic because, again, you look at the other side of the map, no heroes from DC. Abed's not there, Mason's not there. They cannot afford to run across the map that fast.
And Ohio eating up as much damage as possible. It's time for his teammates to come in, and for now it seems like they can't quite find the initiation. They need DJ to go roll in and get that silence going. Hookshot to start things off. They are going to try to burn some of Fareb's mana. He's still got enough for the Blink Ravage, but just holding on to that threat. And Fnatic, I mean, their siege engine's running out of gas. They just keep going in. Slow but sure chip damage onto this tier 3. And we'll eventually get it. Jit going to be walking back in time and will not lose his life. So Fnatic, they go in. It takes them a little bit longer than they were hoping for, but they do still get a tower and take no losses.
I think it's okay that it takes a while because, again, it's about other heroes being able to split push lanes for DC. And since they were trapped in their base, that's the worst for them. They do not want to have the Weaver and the Queen both stuck in base at the same time, because then you're not getting an advantage anywhere else. You're simply taking damage on your tower and you're not able to fight either, so then you have to let them disengage. The only reason Fnatic went back is because they want Roshan, and dear god, there's a double damage. Roshan's gonna be spawning. Oh my god, this is actually so bad.
Yeah, QO just lets it spawn right under his nose, not taking the double damage yet, just doing this on his own devices, and it's going to be melting really quickly. There is a ton of right-click damage coming out of Fnatic. They've got that negative armor as well from the Solar Crest, but I mean, DC, they're keen on this, and they may have to take a fight. They still have that Ravage. They held on to it, but yeah, Ajit just easily gets the Aegis, and there's going to be QO holding on to that cheese, and they're ready to go. Just pile driving up mid. We'll see who's going to be the unlikely first victim. DC, they've got a hold here, but this time the fight's a little bit different. You've got Dubu pushing out top lane, down bottom, Abed able to go and at least keep the creep Relibium great here, but it's probably going to cost him a good chunk of racks. How quickly are DC going to TP back?
Well, they won't need creeps in bottom because mid will open the backdoor protection up, so I'm not worried about that. This is going to be make or break here for DC.
Yeah, Mason starting to lay in the damage. Did go pick up that Maelstrom, so at least making his right clicks a little more spooky for Rev. Again, still holding the Ravage. He's been holding that forever, and now there's going to be a nice hook shot in. There's the Ravage spilled out, but the BKBs are already rolling. Ajit, oh, he's getting so much health from that Satanic. They do get the silence off on the Quap. She's stuck in the tree line, goes down, immediate buyback, but QO is still hunting. Runs in deep into the Night Stalker. Febby able to zone back the Tidehunter. Febby just sponging up damage with his body. It's all he can do as the racks are torn to shreds. They will find the Night Stalker kill as well. Night Stalker and Rubik both dead for good. Buyback's not coming out for them. And now it's just up to these three heroes to hold everyone back. There will be a little blood right. Silencing up for Rev, and they do get another hook shot on him. He's tanky, but is it going to be enough? Nice Sonic Wave from the Quap, but she's stunned in place. This could be it. This kill is going to be huge if they can find it. She's just going to be trying to blink back to her fountain for all she's worth, and even with a negative earn, she will still live. A hook shot into the fountain. Febby, please relax, but it will mean that QO is able to get the kill onto the Queen of Pain. There's a gem on the deck. Quap dead for 90 seconds, and the GG is called out as Fnatic's cores are still up and fighting, so well played, DC. But in the end, Fnatic get the better of them. Their push strat finally works out 42 minutes in.
The Shadow Fiend was just way too huge during the last engagement. Like, they dumped every single spell, including Ravage, on him, and they couldn't even take the Aegis. Because the Satanic that he bought right before they started the push, he BKB Satanic hits like 2 or 3 times, and he's at full HP again. And then DC had absolutely nothing left in the tank. I think that in a way, maybe Mason bought too many defensive items. Like, maybe he didn't need the lance. Maybe he could have gone for the Maelstrom before that and like pushed out lanes a bit more. And there were also a couple of times where DC like preemptively teleported back, assuming a fight was going to happen, that Fnatic either baited out or they just didn't win the fight. So based on those two things alone, I think that DC had a really hard time